Good afternoon, crafty friends. Um, we're still working on the collaboration, the Crafting a Garden Story collaboration that's being hosted by Rach and Bella, Rach from Rach and Bella Crafts, and Angela from Angela Kerr Designs. Now, I'm doing I'd say about 70% of the videos I'm doing short videos and they're going to be on my TikTok, but there are a few that I wanted to come over here and do a more in-depth video for. Like our topper that should be going up. I think I've got it scheduled to go up on Monday. It's either Monday or Tuesday. But this one, I am a little bit behind on the days with my work schedule. I open at my job and I close at my job. So I haven't really had a lot of time to do a video every day, or when the videos are posted, I'm at work and I don't get a chance to watch them until the next day. So, but this video right here is going to be for the one that was on the 19th. That was done by Bella's Crafty Studio and Paper Crafty. It was the Sewn 3D Florals. I'm doing my take on Sewn 3D Florals. So let's set that aside. And my take on Sewn 3D Florals are these gorgeous seam binding flowers. I love these flowers and they're so easy to make, and they all have like a flat back pearl center. So, and I've got to dye, because I dye my own seam binding, so I've got to dye some in yellow, but there are touches of like this pink in the kit as well, and there's slight touches of like a light purple or a purple. The purple one I have, I don't think it will go, but let me just set these aside. And I mean, the supplies you need, three, minus your glue, you need three things. So you need, of course, dyed seam binding, and this is the ones that I have dyed for the 3 journals that I've got coming up. I've got some dyed seam binding for them, and I'm using, for this, I use this one, and then this one right here. Now see, I said I've got this light purple, but I don't know how good that will go. And then I've got this one. I don't know. I'm debating on whether or not I want to use those two yet. But my yellow seam binding, I've got to actually dye it. So you're going to need the seam binding. You, of course, are going to need the flat back pearls, and yes, I have husky hair on these because these are very sticky. They're on a sticky strip. So I have a husky, if you did, just to let you know. So, and these dropped on the floor, and she took the opportunity to snatch them up. So yeah, they are currently, the sticky currently is covered with husky fur, and I've got to, later on this afternoon or tomorrow, I've got to get all the husky fur off of it. And you're going to need a needle with thread. This is just simple light blue embroidery thread. This is going to cut, it doesn't really matter what color you use because it's going to get covered up by the flat back pearl. So, anywho, on your seam binding, you need strips that are roughly, I do crinkle mine, so I do smoosh it up. So these are roughly about 6 inches. So all 3 of these. So I've got that pink, I've got this green, and I love when I dyed this one how it almost went like tie-dyed. I love the way that looks. And then I've got the light teal. And I chose teal instead of this blue, that darker blue, because there's a lot of blue in the kit, and there's the teals, the green, this pops of pink and yellow. So I wanted to bring more of those in versus the blue. So now on one end of it, you need to make sure this is cut pretty even. And then you're just going to simply do a running stitch. And I saw just on this one side, like right at the edge, see how I'm going like right up to the edge and making my running stitch? I saw these a few years back. I cannot remember. I saw it on YouTube, and I went back through and I've looked and I've looked and I've looked. And I've even looked up seam binding flowers, and I can't find the video anymore. I don't know if that YouTube channel's been taken down, and unfortunately I did not save the video. When I saw it, that was before I knew you could actually save videos from YouTube. But yeah, you just want to flatten it out and just do the running stitch. Let me do this a little bit closer so you can actually see. And I mean, it's going to rouge up here, but that's fine. You can just simply push it down the needle. But you see how I'm just doing this simple running stitch? Like that. And pushing the seam binding down as you go, because it's going to bunch up at the tip. And flattening your seam binding. And just do that down the entire length of the piece of seam binding. Now, you don't necessarily have to use dyed seam binding for this. You can use just regular white seam binding if you don't have dyed seam binding, or you can use thin strips of fabric. This is about a ½ inch wide. So, I mean, if you wanted to cut pieces of fabric or even tear pieces of fabric to where they're ½ inch wide by 6 inches long, you can do these flowers with that as well. I've done it with the fabric, I've done it with ribbon, of course I've done it with the seam binding. And now on this, whichever side you put the needle in first, like on this one I put the needle in on the top side and then went down, your last stitch, you want that needle to come back up the exact same side. And there's a reason why, and I will show you here in a minute. And again, you want to get the end straight. And now you're just going to push all of it down and pull the needle through the entire thing. And you see how it's already doing that curling effect? That's that curling that you want that forms like that ruffly effect. That's what I call it, ruffly effect on the flower. Now, remember how I said whatever side that you put the needle in, you want to make sure the needle comes back out on the other end, because we're going to go to the front of the flower. Like, you see how that's the back of the flower, because let me move that out of the way. There's the back of the flower. That's our knot that holds the string in. And then we have the front of the flower. This part of the flower right here is what's going to be facing up, that the flat back pearl goes on. Now, your knot came in here. You want to go in front of, just like maybe a stitch or two in front of that knot. And you want to reinsert, see? Reinsert your needle back through. And what it does is it layers the ends on top of each other. Now flip it back over to the back side. You want to pull it snug. Take the string, pull it towards you. See how it's closed that up? Then you want to reinsert the needle into the back. Now, your finger here is what's holding this snug. To keep it snug, take your opposite hand and just pinch right over where the center of the flower is. Just hold it like that. take your end and you want to wrap it 2 or 3 times around the end of the needle and then pull that towards you, because you're creating a knot to tie it off. And then just push the needle through and it tightens. Well, my string just broke, but see how it tightens and it forms the circle? And you want to snip that off. Now come back over here onto the front, and because I'm using crinkle seam binding, it's wanting to fold over. If you're using crinkle seam binding to stop that, wherever you see the fold over, straighten it out like I am here. Just simply straighten it out. Take your fingers and pinch, and that basically takes the crease out. And you want to do that all the way around so that you get this flower laying flat. And now you see how that side's not as roughly. Easy fix. Just pull it over and ruffle it up a little bit, and then again flatten it out, and you get that ruffly effect all over the flower like that. So we're gonna do our next one. I'm gonna do about 3 of them on camera just so y'all get a good idea. Now when you're making your end knot, you want to make sure it's big enough. I made that one a little bit too big, but you want to make it sure that it's big enough. This works best with a smaller width needle. I cannot find my small needles. It works best with like embroidery needles. This is the smallest needle I could find out of my bookbinding kit. I can't find my small needles, so I don't know why, but it is what it is. So now on this one, on the other one, I did it to where the darkest part on the green, the darkest part I put in the center, but this one, it's the variation of the dark part is all through it on this strip. So I'm just gonna pick an end and start. This one's really crinkly. Some of them came out more crinkled than the others did, which I love because I use my crinkle seam binding for the closures of my journals, for tag toppers. I even use it along the like if I love taking Edith Holden book pages and just the whole page and making it into an envelope. Well, to decorate the flap of the envelope, because when I do my envelopes, if I'm making them out of book pages, I take the flap and I use it like it's a wraparound on a page, and the flap is the part that wraps around the page edge. Well, on that envelope flap, I will take and I will use the crinkled seam binding or sari silk, one of the two, and it makes if you put a ribbon down the center of it, like if for something like this, I would use like a very thin ribbon. Now on the sari silk, those pieces are larger, so I'll use I have ribbon that's like 1/4 of an inch wide, and some are even 1/2 an inch wide, because some of those pieces of sari silk, I don't know if I get my sari silk from a wholesale distributor in India that they have certain times of the year that they're open to the public. So I'll go in when they're open to the public, and I'll place like a large order online, and that's how I get mine. And I get the large, like, I call them braids, but I know they're called something else, or skeins or something like that. So I get those, and I can usually get them for, sometimes when they are open to the public, they have like 50% off sales, so you can get them for like $1.49 for like a braid or skein or whatever you want to call it. So again, we're here at the end. I made sure my needle went back through the same end that my knot did. And on this one it frayed a little, which is not a big deal. You just can come in with your scissors and just clip that frayed end off. I don't want to trim off any more off the edge here because it is pretty short already. I can pick my needle up. So you want to go through the top, and I'm coming in front of the knot. I'm just going to go back through that stitch right there. And make sure you got your needle going in the right direction and that you don't tie things up. And you overlap these over the top like that. And then you gently pull to where it's snug. And see, this one's really ruffly. And again, I'm inserting my needle through here, gripping the center, wrapping my thread around 3 times. You can do it 2 or 3. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 3. You need to do it more than once though. And then you gently tug to make sure that's secure. The first time I tugged a little too hard. And then again, you come back here on the front, see how it's, like I said, this one's really crinkly. So you flatten out the crinkles at the ends, and then you ruffle it and press. Same thing here. You flatten out the edge right there. You let it ruffle, and then you press. You're just flattening out most of the crinkle in it so that it lays a little flatter when you go to put it on a page. Now these I'm using as page decorations. And there you go. There's that one. And we'll come back in with the pearls. Now I know this one looks a little messed up, but we'll fix it when we go to add the pearl. So the end looks a little messed up. So, but there's the second one. And now here's the last one I want to do. Now I'm going to be doing a lot more of these because, like I said, I'm using these as decorations for ephemera. I'm going to be using these decorations for the journal topper that I'm going to be making. So but yeah, you can I use the sari silk or even this on the front with a ribbon in the center for the flap of the envelope, and they turn out really pretty. And with those envelopes, I learned how to make them from Angela, actually, from Angela Kerr Designs, and she does it with all kinds of book pages, but I fell in love with the design she did using the Edith Holden book pages. So, and she collages on the front of it. It is so gorgeous, guys, and I don't have one handy to show you, but I will be making a couple of them to go in this journal. So, and now I've been trying with the collab, all the participants, I've been trying to follow their designs, but some of them, like this sewing, like with this one, Sewn Florals, they were pretty, don't get me wrong, but I don't have the range of like threads and stuff that they have, because like I said in an earlier video, I'm in a studio apartment, so my space is limited, and about 70-75% of my journal stuff, my journal making stuff, is actually currently in storage. We've been trying to find like an apartment, but with no luck, because our husky is my husband's service dog. And yes, service dogs, they're not, well, let me rephrase that. They're not supposed to be denied. but we have encountered because of her breed. For some unknown, well, they say Huskies are in the top 20 aggressive breeds because of their high prey drive. The only thing this dog has a high prey drive for is vegetables. Yes, she loves her vegetables. She does not like meat. We jokingly call her a vegetarian. And her little, like, toys. Her little, like, squeak toys. That's the only thing, I mean, and it's not really even a prey drive. I mean, she loves those things. She wouldn't hurt a fly. She's scared of big dogs, thinks little dogs are her babies, even though the little dogs may not reciprocate said feelings. In her mind, they are her babies, and no, she's never had a litter of puppies, and she will never have a litter of puppies. But in her mind, they are her babies. So, but we've been having a hard time finding a place simply because of her breed. It's in the state I live in, Georgia. So the state I live in, it's stupid. They release every year. They release a dangerous breed list. And Huskies, every year, they fall within the top 20 because of their high prey drive. I mean, she doesn't chase cats. She doesn't chase birds. She doesn't chase squirrels. She'll sit there and bark at them. So, I mean, she doesn't do any of that. And, you know, we've tried to explain, you know, that's just how she is. I mean, she even has she's certified with the state as my husband's service animal. But it's still, we were still being flat out refused. So, but anywho, but yeah, see how I fixed that one to make it look more ruffly on this side. Now, there are the bases for the flowers, and then now the pearls. Now they're still sticky. The adhesive, I've got smaller pearls where the adhesive doesn't leave the back sticky, but for some reason these are still sticky on the back. So, but I don't trust the stickiness on the back of them. I still put Fabri-Tac down. Whoops. And of course now I can't get it up off the table. And I dropped one. There it is. But yeah, I still use Fabri-Tac because, I mean, yes, these are still super sticky on the back, but I do not trust it. So, let me get this glue to come down. Alright, now, you can see the flap right there. All we're going to do is we're going to simply just, around the outside, we're going to put the glue down. And I generally put a good coating. And you're going to take your flat back pearl and I think I put too much glue on this one. You put it over the center like that to where it's covering that centerpiece, and you push it down. And I usually hold it for a few seconds to make sure that it's adhered and really good on the seam binding. And if you have to adjust it, you can. And it turns out like that. I mean, these are simple and quick to make. Most of my journals usually have at least a small cluster of these in it, because they're wonderful to decorate with. And I know a lot of the projects that Angela Kerr Design is doing, she has like the large mulberry paper flowers, and I don't have any of those. I mean, yeah, I could order them, but by the time they got to me, the collaboration would be over. So I think on mine, on some of the ones, some of the ephemera that Angela Kerr is doing, I'm going to add these instead. Just a little bit. There we go. And this is the last one. And now, I'm not worried about that end. You see how that ends like that? I'm not worried about that because the pearl, oops, let go of my finger. The pearl will cover it. And if I can get it to let go. Well, almost cover it. So if you see how I still got the end sticking out there a little bit, so gently lift up the pearl and kind of like pull that in a little bit. And if you have to, hold it with your finger and then put the pearl down. You see how that covers that corner of that piece? And I'm going to have to play with this one a little bit to get it to lay a little bit flatter because it's not wanting to. On all the rest of them, the squish method worked, but just on this one side, it's not really. I don't know. It kind of adds character. I don't know. I may fiddle with it a little bit more. I may not. So, but see. So yeah, I've got all of these that I'm going to be using, and then I still have to do. I still have to do some in yellow, and I'm not quite sure about the purple yet, if I'll actually make any with the purple or not. So, but that's our little project for today, guys. So, I mean, as you can see, it didn't take me long to do 3 of them. So, I'll usually take an afternoon when I'm off, and just a couple of hours, I'll just take a whole bunch of this right here and cut 6-inch length pieces off of it and just stitch away. So, but that is all for today, guys. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day, and we will talk to you later. Bye, crafty friends.